Hi Lee. Alright, so here is your past life reading, or your spread. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day with relationships and feelings, the death over here, the lesson learned, and hints of time throughout. Actually, we're going to actually turn this over because of where we're going. I'll get to that in a second. So, all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, okay? And your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through in your current life. And I'll try to help however I can, okay? So, keep in mind, there's a couple of ways to make connections. There's direct and opposite. Direct connections means that you can directly connect with the information coming through. The opposite connection would be, for example, let's say someone died of smoking in a past life. They would come back and likely be allergic to smoke. Not always, but be allergic to smoke, not like being around smokers, can't stand the smell of it, like that kind of thing. Okay? It's just the soul wanting to experience kind of like the opposite of what they already experienced, all right? So just keep that in mind as we go through. You might want to grab a notebook and pen kind of thing, because a lot of stuff comes through. And remember that you have to resonate, you have to connect, and whatever you don't resonate or connect with, that's fine. Just tuck it in the back of your mind for another time, because sometimes things come up weeks, months, year later kind of thing, all right? All right, so let's start. Now, the reason why I flipped this guy over is because this card came up. All right. So this card, where we're going, this is the Atlantis and Lemuria card, but it's like also the card of legendary places, other realms, other worlds. We get this with star seeds. Basically, or it could be Atlantis or Lemuria, right? So with Atlantis, we're looking at more of like a masculine-based, more aggressive energy, which aggressive is not bad, it's just more aggressive. The Lemurian implies, passive, more feminine energy, we can say. So we have masculine, feminine. Here's the deal with this is what is coming off of this card right now is a couple of things that it's not Atlantis or Lemuria, even though that doesn't mean you do not have a connection to it. Or if we are connecting with it, if this is a feeling of something that I haven't felt connected with these before, we can say. And the place that they are, that's coming through, it's heavily wooded, like densely wooded. The main colors are browns and greens. It's like how we see, and this is like, this might sound random and silly and whatever, but it's coming through for a reason, so I'm just going to tell you, so when we look at plants, we see like people tend to admire like a flower or the leaves, right? Because it's coming off of the plant. In this place, the actual, I'm just going to call wood of like the tree trunk, right? So the wood and then the stems, these things, for example, are like the petals or like the leaves. So I'm seeing less like foliage, like less petal stuff and leaf stuff, and we're looking more at like the wood, the stems, like the roots, so we're looking at the core of what we would consider the plant or the tree or the whatever it is, rather than the thing that comes off of it that we as humans tend to admire, right? So this is kind of unusual. I haven't gotten this before. It's kind of interesting. So how you might connect with this right away would be the idea of just a connection with plants, a connection with, in particular, trees, or in particular, wood. This can mean like a bunch of things, so you have to connect how you can. But for example, what would be, some things would be, have you been interested in woodworking, right? Like little things like that, like are interested in woodworking or interested in plants, gardening, the woods, as in forests specifically, but it wouldn't just be any old forest. These would be forests where it's like the trunks would be so what's coming up is like the, what's that place called? Where the sequoia trees are out in California. I think it's California or Oregon or something. It's basically the West Coast, the redwoods, yeah. I'm sure you've heard of the redwoods, but if not, and even if you have, Google and look at the trees again, through the photos even, and that's the kind of thing where you just want to like look at it and absorb it and see how it makes you feel. Like even just let your mind wander as you focus in on the trees. And this is how we're able to like kind of tap into energy and connect with things. You can totally do this through photos because it holds energy. And just like that kind of thing, make connections with that. I know for some people that might sound super silly, but who knows, maybe you already do this, I don't know. But there's something about the woods. Now, let's see what else. It could be the color brown, if you are drawn to the color brown, or warm colors, or what's the word? Earthy colors. Do you consider yourself earthy? And it could be like your birth sign or something, but also just like in general, are you drawn to earthy colors or earthiness, or even like the feeling of earthiness, if that makes sense? Because there's something like warm and cozy and stable and dense in a good way and grounded about earthiness. Now, this could be coming up because you in your current life might be going through a time where you might feel unstable, or you might feel not grounded kind of thing, like uncertain about certain things, up in the air kind of thing. And that could be why this is coming through, to remind you of a time or a place that you are connected to on a soul level that is very grounded and warm and comforting and stable and level and, that kind of thing. So if that is the case, by the way, if you connect in that way, and if you don't connect, that's fine, tuck in the back of your mind. But if you connect in this way to any of this, this would be a message for you of like a reminder that groundedness is a part of you, and you merely need to tune into it. Basically, by acknowledging this kind of grounded energy, you can connect with it, tune into it, and absorb it and bring it into you. So it's almost like absorbing the energy of a memory of another lifetime, like reabsorbing it, reconnecting with it. That's what this is. But again, it has to connect with you. Now, I feel like this place, okay, and get this. I know this might get a little weird, but when this card comes up, stuff can get really weird, so bear with me. If this place is on Earth, we are looking at another realm, and very likely what this would feel like is, or what you might describe it as, would be a fairy-like realm. So we're looking at interdimensionality. And when I say fairy, I'm not talking about fairies like how we're taught they are, like the pretty little fairies, but we're talking about fairy folk. So I don't know if you've ever been drawn to that concept, but go ahead and look into it. If not, if you don't know anything about it, or you've never, go check it out and look up the like fairy folk or fae, but in the way that, in the most authentic way. Not fairy tale fairies, but fairies like from like Irish, traditional Irish, and these are not little pretty things. These are like legitimate extra dimensional beings, we can say. So I also feel like the other part of this card is there's something about it that feels like a calling, in a sense of like calling you back to, for lack of better words, magical roots in the sense of like, are you allowing magic in your life? And for, this can mean so many things for so many different people, because everyone has a different perception of what magic means. It could just be magical moments, like the little miracles of life that happen every day, being able to see a beautiful sunrise and allowing that to affect you and bringing it into the rest of your day to set your mood and set, you know what I mean? But it can also be that if you feel like you're being pulled to dabble in energy work, or look into actual like incantation ritual work, things like that, if you're pulled to that, I would definitely say follow your urges, follow those pulls towards that kind of thing, even if the people around you might think it's silly, or you've never been into it before and suddenly you're being pulled there, like that kind of thing. Like, let yourself flow in the direction of being pulled in certain ways that I want to say pertains to how you define magic, or even broadening the concept or definition of magic for yourself that you might have had up until now. Because I feel like there's something waiting for you to step into it, we'll say. And all it takes is you giving yourself permission to do that. Okay? So it would be really interesting if it actually had to do with the like fairy-centric kind of realms or energies or things like that, which it very well could be. And it's actually very cool, because when it comes to that energy, not everyone can dabble in. They have to kind of be called to it, or kind of have to be like let in, because it's a very kind of protective energy. So I feel like that might be a way you might want to start stepping. If you haven't already, you might be totally into all this already, and you know what I mean, and that's totally fine. And in that case, this would just be a validation of your direction going towards that. But this can also explain if you've ever just liked fairies when you were a kid, you know, or if you ever thought you saw one, or if you for a time, even when you were, you know, like when you were a kid, if you thought that you had stepped into their realm, or, you know, it's that kind of thing where if you've ever had those interesting kind of experiences, this would be letting you know you can trust that that was truly happening, that was an experience and not just your imagination. You know, like someone might have said, oh, it's just your imagination. This would be like if that ever happened to you and someone said that was more than your imagination, or in another way, your imagination allows the link into other dimensional realities. So your imagination, yeah, it might have been your imagination, but it's way more real than people have been taught to believe, if that makes sense. But I just feel like we're starting off with basically like a call home to your roots, and your roots are powerful and your roots have magic, and don't doubt it and don't be talked out of it just in case you're on the fence in that way. And I only say that because I work with a lot of people that come from religious or traditional upbringings who are just now starting to transition into a more, they're getting in tune with their inner truths more and allowing themselves to like flow and align with that kind of thing. And so they have to come out of more traditional notions that they've been programmed with in order to accept their true realities, so to speak. So just bear with me, but keep making connections where you can with this and with this place. This could also mean, connection to the woods or forest. That can also mean for you that you might do very well as far as like finding peace of mind, finding your calm place, your center place. The place you need to go to ground yourself would be, I would say, like, go out to the woods if you can, if you're by woods. But if you're not, this can also be just like, it's very likely that you have a connection with trees based on what I'm getting from this. Like, there's a lot of trees and woods and trees and woods, and it's just so centered on the wood part of the tree, the trunk. It's almost like I want to say, try a tree meditation where you actually talk to the trees, connect with the trees, vibe with the energy, see what you get. And it's not as complicated as you might think. And you might already do this. So if you already do this, great. But if you don't, and this sounds kind of like intriguing maybe, all you got to do is take time for yourself, go find a tree. And if you've never done this, of course it's going to feel silly, but that's okay. You know, just let it feel silly and still do it. And you sit and, you know, go by yourself if you feel silly, but and just lean against a tree or touch a tree or whatever, and you sit there and you just calm and you breathe and you're quiet and just connect with the tree however it feels right to you to connect with a tree's energy, and say hello and start a conversation and trust what comes to mind when you ask questions, because the answers that come to mind might sound like your own voice in your head, but those are answers because you're not trying to answer yourself. You will get answers. So see how that makes you feel if you've never done something like that before. Okay? Just a little exercise. Yes. So keep making connections. We're going to go to what you did with the majority of your time here. Okay. So this is the hunter and provider card. And we're in the woods and there's a hunter and provider. So we're going to see what's going on here. All right. Oh, cool. Okay. So what's happening is we're in this 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 is so okay. I get what's going. Okay, so we're going to say that this aspect that we're looking at, let's just go with the idea that you are of a fairy being energy in this realm that is on Earth, but it is interdimensional. It's another realm where not all the humans can just wander into, right? They have to have a certain energy to be in this realm. This dimension. Okay, so just bear with me. We're going to just bear with me. So on this, so what's happening? It's like almost like they're giving me a very special occasion or day, which we'll get to here too. This feels like in this place, you are seeing someone like a human come into the realm for the first time, and it's almost like it's like you're seeing a human for the first time. Okay, have you ever seen the movie Fern Gully? that is what's coming to mind. It's not exactly this, of course, but you know, because those fairies are pretty or whatever, but that is essentially what we're looking at here, is the Fern Gully thing where the main character sees the human and there's a connection there, there's curiosity and interest and intrigue there, you know, kind of like in awe. And it feels like we're seeing you as this being, seeing this human, the human seeing you, recognizing that you are both of different, you're alien to each other. You're basically both looking at aliens because you're both an alien to each other, and yet here you are on Earth, and it's a male, and it feels like your aspect. It feels like your aspect, I want to say, would be female, except I'm not even sure if there's really like a gender thing going on with these kinds of beings. But there is more of a female energy to your aspect, and it feels like you see each other, and it's like he knows what's going. He has a feeling like something is off, and you are like, oh, it's one of those things that they told us about, aka humans. So this is a very special day because this also, to me, what it feels like, it marks the decision, the time in this being's life that you are, the decision to go and try being human. So we are looking at the last part, or the last life of you being fae or fairy or whatever these beings are, and deciding, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the human thing. Now, on a very interesting, ironic note, this is the hunter provider card, right? So this actually feels like this is happening this thing is happening at a moment where you are out to bring back resources for your people, whatever it might be, gathering things, I don't know what it is, but it's the gathering of resources. So there's like almost like a provider energy providing resources, and then this guy feels like he is out there as well in the same energy of gathering resources, but it could very well be that he is a hunter. And if not a hunter, then something like finding resources of, it could be the trees, the woods, because the woods are so prominent in this thing. But more than anything, it does feel like we're looking at kind of like a hunter energy, like just, you know, out for the hunt, like getting an animal to bring home for supper kind of thing. And then here you are going out and gathering resources to bring home. And so it's almost like both of you are the same and yet so different. So this can speak to someone like in your current life, if you are able to see similarities where other people cannot. Like, if you see past the surface, you're able to read through and just go right through the surface and see what's beyond someone's surface. Basically, we're looking at someone who might be able, if this speaks to you, if you connect, have a gift or an ability to read people very well. Also to find the similarities. Okay, not just find the similarities, so finding similarities, but also the idea of bringing people together by pointing out ways where they can see how similar they are, where once they were blind, but then you are almost like a mediator. So it feels like we're looking at you having an energy of what we would call like a mediator, but it stems from a gift of perception that allows you to see how things can come together or be together despite what others might deem to be too different, simply because the surface might look different, if that makes sense. Sorry, I just had to adjust the lighting because it's getting a little dark out there. But yes, so in regards to that, keep making connections where you can when it comes to what we were mentioning, when it comes to like the hunter provider card, and the similarities and being able to sense this in people. This, if you connect with this, would indicate, let's say you are considering like, what should I focus on? As far as like maybe something new, like a hobby, things like that. Or what you should focus on as far as your own inner development, it would be to see how you feel about, I guess I want to say more like focus on the awareness, place your awareness on if/when this kind of thing occurs in your life, like on a daily basis. This would indicate, I mean, here's the thing, it could be something as simple as, if you're a mom, you would be able to bring the kids, if you have like multiple children, bring the kids together quite easily, where other mothers, you might hear them, you know, or not, or see them where they don't really know how to like bring the kids together after an argument or during a, you know, a tumultuous time or something like that. So that could also be, it would be so innate and natural that it would be the kind of thing you wouldn't consider to be a gift, but it is, because not everyone can do that. This would also be if you have a partner and you're able to, I mean, a lot of women have this ability too, just being sensitive, but this goes a little bit deeper, but this would be about being able to feel your partner's process of thought going on or emotional process happening, even though he might not or she might not be articulating it, if that makes sense. So it's the kind of thing of understanding a language that is not being spoken. So in other words, this could be what people might even consider kind of like telepathy, but it's not like a voice is like yelling in your head. It's just like unknowingness. So this is also, just in case you haven't heard of the word, claircognizance, look that up. It's unknowing. Except your knowing is not just about everything. It would be about the similarities of different people and what would connect them. So we're looking at someone who knows how to connect. So that in itself is a gift. So a lot of these gifts, just in case you wanted to dabble in like, what's my gift? What's my specialty? What's my ability? Things like that. It would feel very natural and innate to you once you're aware and once you're able to perceive it as a gift. Whereas without labeling it as a gift, you would just be like, oh yeah, I'm really good at that. Or, oh yeah, you can't do that? I do that, that's natural. Like that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. Another connection you can make to this would be simply how you feel about hunters, or how you feel about, not just hunters, but like, I want to say there's something about hunters is one thing. So how do you feel about hunters? You could be completely put off by it, or you can love the aesthetic of it, or even you might hunt yourself, who knows. But there's that. But we're looking at the perspective from the being, because you're not the hunter, you are seeing the hunter, but it feels like a connection, and it feels, what's the word, agreeable, you know, civil. It's not like, ooh, bad hunter. It's not like that. The other thing would be, the gatherer provider thing. So this would speak if you feel like you are a provider. It doesn't have to be the financial provider of the family, though it might be that kind of thing, the head of the household kind of thing, or you are self-proficient, is that the word? Like provide for yourself, independent, you're able to just like make your own way kind of thing. Another thing would be a provider in the sense of a giver. Someone like you're always like a helping hand. If someone's sick, here's some soup. If just something needs someone, you might be the kind of person that has a purse full of everything, and you'll just have what is needed. Basically, we're looking at someone who is very resourceful. So if you can connect with being someone very resourceful, that would be a connection too. This also speaks to how you feel about the idea of gathering, I want to say like gathering natural resources from the land. How do you feel about, I want to say almost like organic farming? That in itself, if you're looking for a new hobby, I don't know if you're into gardening already, or into landscaping, or into natural growth, or even like what's coming up is like even like little mushrooms and truffle hunting, like unique activities that take place in natural landscapes, but that provides resources, or some, you know, edible resources or nutritious things, like something that is valuable. All right. So that kind of thing, if you're not into those kinds of things already, and you're like, I'm kind of bored, I want to, what's out there? I would say look into like organic farming, organic gardening, truffle hunting, I think that's what it's called. Even like growing your own mushrooms, or growing, I don't know, it's not just growing, it's growing things that would be resourceful. So it's not growing things just to look pretty, though you might like that as well, of course, but if it's pretty, for example, like growing sunflowers, you can eat the seeds, and it's pretty, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like there would be something about you that is not, it maybe not even just resourceful, but like that you appreciate resourcefulness. Like that is maybe something you look in for friendships, or partners, or people you trust, or people you are drawn to, are people that are resourceful. So we're looking basically at the theme of resourcefulness and how does that play in your life, right? So keep making connections where you can to up here what we're looking at, this card. And we're going to go to the first important day. So here we have the marriage card. The marriage card is when we're witnessing a marriage or you're getting married or, you know, things having to do with union. And then the card, this is the relationship card and it's the karmic card, which is very cool. The karmic card happens when we see people come back and they're finishing up a karmic relationship, which is not always bad. People always think, oh, karmic, yeah, there's karma, but like it could be really good karma where like someone treated you so amazingly in one life and you're like, I love you so much, I'll see you in the next one and I'm going to treat you amazing. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And then the feeling here, this is the quite capable, incapable card. So it's a duality card because it could be one, the other, or both, like a kind of a torn feeling kind of thing. Okay, so what we're seeing here, this is an interesting, slightly bittersweet feeling. This feels like there's something about this person and you, and it's not like this whole thing where you guys met and had a conversation. No, what we're looking at is a blip in time where your realities came together, you and this human, okay? And in that blip of a moment where your eyes met, there was a pact made, and it was to find each other again in a later time and to be together. And it was done subconsciously, unconsciously, and it was meant to happen. This was meant to spur you into desiring to try a new form from the being that you are. Basically become human, right? Incarnate human. Try it out. This was a moment in time, a contract that was made, a soul contract, to spur you into the thought process that would manifest it into being. And that's what happened. That's all it takes, though, for everyone and anyone, even humans, is it meeting someone's eyes and you get a feeling, and that's it. And that could be a soul contract complete. That could be karma complete. Just meeting someone's eyes, sharing a smile, shaking someone's hand, having one conversation with someone. And that's what you signed up on a soul level to do. It's kind of magnificent and amazing. And so it's almost like a little miracle. And I feel like they want me to say it that way to bring to your attention to become more aware of all the little miracles that are happening every single day in your life that most people just kind of brush off because it's just part of their life. And it might happen a lot so that they don't think of it as a miracle, but what thinking of these things as miracles, what it does for you is it places you in a higher vibration. So if you've heard of the term, raising your vibration, that alone can do it. It's the way you look at the world. If you make the decision, the choices every day to find little miracles in what maybe other people might call mundane things, like what they're showing me is like when the light comes in the window and it hits a certain way and it creates rainbows. That's magnificent. That's a miracle. And if you can see that and you start to see that all over, that's going to raise your vibration greatly, and it's going to open you up and expand your consciousness, expand you in so many ways, and it's going to enlighten you over time when you do that kind of thing, because you're making a conscious decision to open yourself up and open your awareness up and see things in bigger ways, so to speak. So anyway, so what's happening here is that moment happened. It's a contract. It was met and it was made. And so the contract was for you to meet. Done. Spurred you. Then a new contract formed in that split second to meet again. So this karma is very likely a romantic partner. And this romantic partner, it's likely romantic partner, doesn't have to be. It can be a best friend. It could be, but we're looking at a soulmate-ish feeling type of person. This person is going to make you feel, I feel like this person is going to feel resourceful, grounded, stable, almost like, I want to say like, like this, like I have a friend who uses the term, like, she calls people who have this big, warm, loving energy, she says they're warm like the sun. And it's such a distinct kind of energy in that, and I feel like this person would feel like the sun to you. Like the sun, like big, loving, warm, resourceful, grounded, and like reliable, right? It's like that feeling. And I feel like it would be romantic. It doesn't have to be. None of the, it never does have to be, but it just feels that way. So the right partner, in case we're looking at relationships in your life, how that's working out, the right partner is going to feel that way. The right partner, he or she, is going to feel like the sun in this way to you, or have those traits to them. If you're with someone, we'll say, so if you're in a relationship and you're happy, it would be because they have these traits, especially like the resourcefulness, the stability, that kind of thing, the warmth. If you're in a relationship, you're not happy, it's because they're missing that. They're missing that thing that adds to what feels like stable ground, foundation, resourcefulness, like just reliable, like that kind of thing. If you're not in a relationship, that's what you're looking for. That's the energy signature you're looking for, okay? So the quite capable and incapable card comes in because it's almost like the thought in your mind is bizarre. Because you're like, I'm going to do this, but can I do this? So we're looking at, again, miracles, and we're looking at what you're capable of doing. And the message in that is that you are more capable than you can even imagine. So any dream you have in life, let's say any dream you have, you can actually not just accomplish that dream, but blow it up 10 times the size of it and still manage to make it happen. So it's almost like I want to say, like, dream as big as you want. Don't limit your dreams. Don't limit your spirit. Don't limit yourself in that way. It's very easy to, especially like, I want to say, like, if there are circumstances in your life that feel limiting, like, it could be anything. I mean, it could be even having a dog, you still like are responsible and have responsibilities and can't stay out as long, like things like that. But don't look at things that would typically be seen as a limitation or something that would hold you back. Don't look at them that way. Look at them as part of the process towards your dreams, because you made the choices and decisions that place those things in your path so that they're supposed to be there for a reason, and you still have a dream in your mind for a reason. So everything can work out just fine. It's just about how you perceive it. And then when you start to perceive these things as meant to be there, then that just means that they are tools that will help you along the way rather than hinder you. So it's all about perception. This can also speak to how you feel about marriage in general or coming into union with someone. This can speak highly of a very romantic feel to it, because this moment was what we would call romantic, because the chemistry was there, and it was a rush of like a feeling, and then it was gone, and not, what's the word, like not, when things come into being, like, it wasn't realized. Like, that's where the bittersweetness comes in, because it's a very sweet moment, but then the bitter comes in because it's like, you guys didn't come together in this life. You had to wait another time. This life, you had to wait until now to come in together. But again, this could be a best friend. This could be a child. This could be like if you have a kid, your kid kind of thing, not just like a random kid. This I almost said this could be a pet, but it's not. This would be like specifically a human. But this could be a parent, a grandparent. Just like it would have this energy signature. So your job is to feel for the energy signature, which you can do according to what we looked up here, that you can read people very well. So you would be able to feel the energy of the person, and it's just about bringing it to your mind. Who makes you feel that way? And whoever comes to mind, that's the person. And if no one comes to mind, that's totally fine. It's very likely it will connect eventually. It always does. So, again, connect with what you can. If not, just tuck in the back of your mind. But this is a card of quite capable. However, in this lifetime of this being, it's a duality of like, how do I do this? I know I can. It's almost like it's a part of your who you are to be able to do this. Like, almost like you've heard legend of others who have done this before you. So, like, it's that kind of thing. And you're just like, but I want to figure out how do I do it? And then what they're showing me is like, it's just done. It's already done. It's already done because the moment happened. So it's almost like, boom, that reality is already there. So the reality is there. It's just about stepping into it, which how we perceive it is through death, where if someone dies, they wake up to a new reality. It's like that. So there's no like mechanism that you have to know. And I feel like that's coming through kind of like as a message for you to, it's something about you not realizing how natural you are at something or many somethings, and that you feel like you have to work harder than you do. I feel like that's what this feels like. It feels like you are working or trying too hard to do something that you naturally, innately can, like, it's like, I want to say that term, like, do with your eyes closed. Like, that kind of thing. It's almost like there's something where if you feel like something's not working out, and it has to do with you using a natural ability of you, like a creative ability, whatever it might be, that means you're working too hard and you're thinking too much. That's what this feels like. So in case you can connect with that in any way on a project you're working on or an issue you want resolved, if it's not going smoothly or it's not getting finished or it's not being resolved, I feel like it would be because you're overthinking it and you're trying too hard. That kind of thing. So just, again, however you connect with that, but keep making connections where you can. Yeah, keep making connections where you can when it comes to that. And we're going to go to the next important day. All right. So this is the Enlightenment card. This is usually like a leveling up, like just leveling up in various ways. This is the Spouse card. This is the Disappointment card right there. Disappointment. That's the feeling. Okay, so the relationship, spouse, feeling, disappointment, Enlightenment card. Okay, so what we're looking at here, it feels like you said something to someone in your people. It could be, I'm trying to even, it's really weird because it feels like I feel a little bit blocked from even looking in on the society here, because it's like, who am I to look in on their society? That's what I'm saying. When I said earlier they have protective energy, that's what I mean. It's like nothing here about them is being vivid. It's just enough for me to convey to you because you have every right to know. So what I can tell you from this is it feels like essentially you went back, you told someone what happened and what you want to do about it. And it feels like word spread, and it feels like they tried to entice you away from that dream by like marrying you, if they believe, I don't know if they have marriage or whatever, but putting you in union with or connecting you with or whatever it is with one of their finest, if that makes sense. So like someone, like basically like it was an arranged marriage with someone they thought you would consider to be like a prize and that you'd be happy with. But after this meeting here, there's nothing that can compare to this fleeting moment. And I feel like even in that is a message of how powerful one moment can be, and how when someone is right for you, they're right for you. Like when you know someone's right for you and everyone else says no, but you know it. Like that kind of thing where it's just like there is no denying this moment. Nobody was there to experience it but you. And I feel like there's a message even in that, is to honor your experiences and your feelings with certain experiences. And it doesn't mean you have to do anything about it, but you do have to honor your experiences just by acknowledging them and just admitting, acknowledging that moment happened. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Like that was intense. Okay. Like that's what I mean. So it's almost like the rest of your, I want to say, it feels like going from here, moving on, nothing was quite as intense as this moment. Nothing was quite as, I don't know, like, not catastrophic, but you know how that word is very extreme? There, okay, we'll say extreme. Nothing was quite as extreme as that moment. Like, it was almost like the first and only adrenaline rush you've ever felt, so to speak. That's what it feels like. So this could also be, this karmic relationship could also be someone that you might have experienced an adrenaline rush with upon meeting them, potentially, just throwing that out there. But anyway, this would also indicate, this whole thing about like this whole like kind of secret or like protective vibe could also mean that you're a private person and you like to keep things to yourself, that you don't spill the beans, that you know how to keep people's secrets. You might be someone that people come to you and tell their secrets to, or even strangers open up to, and they share stuff with you because they can feel how safe that is. So if you connect with that at all, that would be an energy as well that's working here. But anyway, they're trying to buy you back in a sense, because you explained, basically what you explained was kind of like love. And so they thought, well, if we give her love here, and not just any love, but like the finest man or woman, whatever they are here, you know, the finest of our kind or whatever, you know, but it doesn't compare. That's silly, because it comes from outside of you, and there's nothing inside. So the enlightenment comes when you realize that love is, it's like almost like, what do I want to say? You can't force it. You can't, and not just love, it's like, you can have love for everyone, but it's about like that, the in-loveness. You cannot make yourself be in love with someone. You can love someone, but like the in-loveness, that, you know what I mean? Like that thing, it's undeniable. It's the kind, yeah, it's like you can't deny it. You would know it. That kind of thing. So anyway, that's where the enlightenment comes in, because it's almost like they, what is it called? They kick themselves in the foot. Like there's a phrase where it's like, in trying to keep you there, they did exactly the thing that made you realize you wanted to go after all. Does that make sense? Like basically them trying to them trying to keep you there sealed the deal that you're like, okay, I'm done. That thing is never, I'm never going to forget it. I'm doing it, kind of thing, if that makes sense. So, yeah, so just keep that in mind. And it's almost like, if anything, if you connect with this in any way, it would be a message of not everything that glitters is gold, not being fooled by the pretty things, always trusting your gut and your intuition, and always favoring your likes over what others like. So just because anyone in this society would have been thrilled to have this partner here that they tried to give you, it doesn't matter, because you didn't feel it for him or her or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's not about what other people see as valuable. All that matters is what you find valuable. Literally, that is all that matters. And that's when they say other people's opinions don't matter, because it doesn't. And like keeping up with the Joneses doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else has, because half of the people, like half the things people buy is because other people are buying them, not because they actually want it. You know? Or like, okay, what's coming to mind is like taking a trip to Greece, right? Everyone goes to Santorini. Everyone goes to Santorini because everyone sees everyone go to Santorini because it's beautiful and gorgeous. Of course, who wouldn't want to go to Santorini? Okay. But if there's been something in you since childhood that would rather go to, I don't know, like Mykonos, like another island that, or some like off the way island in Greece that no one really visits, because it's not really that pretty, but something in you is like, that's all I want to go to. I just want to go there. I don't care about Santorini. Like that kind of thing. I hope that's a good example. That's the only one that's coming to mind, really. But it's coming to mind for a reason. So that's what I mean, though. It's just like, stay true to you. Stay true to your course. Like, follow your heart, your gut. Tap into what you want, not what others think you should want, if that makes sense. So this is really speaking about making sure you are following your path, and it's not as hard as people say to find your path. Your path is simply focusing, it's when you reel in your focus, place it on yourself, on inside, what feels good and exciting and wonderful and what pulls at you, without taking in any external noise, if that makes sense, and then following that. and it'll be like stepping stones, and it'll lead you to where you need to be that way. That's living authentically, essentially, is what we're talking about here. So, anyway, keep making connections where you can with that. And we're going to go to the death card here. So this is the murder card. And the murder card is not always like murder, like stabby in the backy murder. It's like, it's also intentional. The card is intentional. So it means like death through intention. So we see people who have like died from alcoholism because they intentionally drank. Even though they probably didn't mean to kill themselves, they intended to drink a lot, and that made, shorten their lives, right? So that kind of thing. This feels like we're looking at, because these beings that we're looking at are essentially magical beings. They work with energy, magic. They're not separated from it like we humans are, like we have to actually work at it, most of us, to like connect, so to speak. They don't. They're fully connected and aware. So it feels like they get to choose when they want to go, like when they want to like leave this reality and shift into another, we'll say, reality. And so I feel like that's what she finally did. Was it's almost like she had to figure it out, kind of, because she's never done it before. It's almost like, it's the kind of thing too. It's like, oh, we heard legend that you can do. It's like, so people who do it, they're gone. They don't tell people how to because they're gone, right? So you kind of have to figure it out yourself, but they know that they can. So they use it when, these people figure out how to. So it just feels like she did that. Like it was an intentional shifting out of that existence into a new existence. It's not like a death. So it's really interesting. So the only thing I could see about this is how you might see death. You might be someone that sees death a very different way than who you surround yourself with. Like, you might be comfortable with death. You might see death as merely like a shift out of one reality into the next. Just how do you approach death? How do you see death? How do you connect with that? And then lastly here we have the lesson card, and this is trust. And so what's interesting is this usually like comes straight into here to connect here, but this is going to the death card because it's about trusting that you have what it takes in order to get what you want. She knew she had the power to use intention and energy to shift into the reality that she wished to go to, and so she just did it. So she trusted she had it, and that's the key. The key is trusting, like all the stuff we were talking about what you're capable of, your gifts, your abilities. You might have an inkling that you have this within you, but you might not trust it yet, and that's what's going to get you to the next level, like this enlightenment card, like leveling up. That's what's going to get you there, is trusting yourself, trusting that you have everything you need in order to move through or on the path that you're meant to be walking. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. You have everything you need. Again, resourceful. And you just have to trust that you have the resources. And you do. Like, I can tell you do. You just have to trust that you do. And once you trust, it's going to start clicking. It'll be a domino effect. Okay? So keep making connections where you can with the trust card. Anyway, so there is your past life reading. I know it was a little weird, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections. And thanks for letting me read you.